Hey, Ange.
Hey Les, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm
You're
trying to
such
convince myself that I'm
you're
doing good.
such a liar right now. You've never lied well.
I know
You've
I'm
never
just a
lied
little
well.
frazzled because of technical issues, but
Yeah.
I'm going to
See,
conquer it. It
you
will
had to
not
go
conquer
get
me.
fancy. You had to go get
Yeah.
fancy.
Well,
You
what's the enemy of good?
better? Is that what it is? I don't know what the enemy is.
Exactly.
Good
And
is.
I've
Oh,
just
okay.
been working on better and it's not working for me. But welcome to another episode of Black Boomer Besties from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. Something feels like it snapped. Okay, I think this headphone on my big head.
Brooke again?
No,
Oh,
it didn't. It just slid back a little bit. It's
I
fine.
see.
Yeah, this is
All
my
right.
fancy one. Hey, folks, we are back. We are back trying to get another podcast out to you guys, another episode out to you guys. It's been really intense week for me.
Mm-hmm.
Leslie started out intense, but now she's on vacay
Yeah,
and
yeah. So I'm in my happy place.
chilling. Yeah, and so I brought up a something that was just disturbing me, and we decided to share it with you guys.
Hmm.
It's I don't even know how to jump into it except to say that you know how it is when you go to a restaurant, you're really hungry. I hope this happens to a lot of people, not just me. You're really hungry and you look at the menu and there's like 10 choices,
Right. Yeah,
10
that's the
options,
story of my life.
like good options, 10 things without cilantro.
Right.
And you can't decide, and it gives you a headache because you're hungry, you're
Mm.
getting hangry, and then you
Hmm.
can't decide. So you're getting frustrated because it's like, oh my God, which option? Everything is going to be amazing, and I can't choose.
Yeah.
That's what's been happening with me. This
Mm.
just so what had happened was I had chosen what I was going to spend, like focus my business on for the next few years, just focusing on creating a Black hair culture curriculum.
Hmm.
The history, entrepreneurship, and Black hair culture, what's happening in the diaspora around Black hair culture, politics, power, love,
Yeah,
hate,
great
all the
idea.
things, all the
Hmm.
things, yeah. And creating a curriculum that could be used at universities, cosmetology schools. I mean, it came from the number one, the desire that I've had for a long time to kind of explore this topic, but
Hmm.
also working in the field and seeing that the lack of education around Black hair culture can be really impactful in people's lives. One thing that happened is a friend of mine who is a Black woman did not grow up in Black culture per se, just
Hmm.
lived in white communities, was the only or one of a few Black person at school and things like that, and went to an Ivy
Yeah.
League school. So, um, and she is the godmother of a Black young preteen who is adopted by white parents and had
Hmm.
a situation at a African hair salon, getting her hair braided. It was traumatic, crying, pain, all those things, and
Things that we grow up with
things
and
that we
know
grew up
what
with.
happens in
Yeah,
these kind of salons.
yeah, and I mean, she went with her hair still in braids. Her parents didn't know she was supposed to have taken them out. come with clean hair ready to be braided,
Mm.
whatever. And my friend, as best as she could understand, she interpreted that um, as kind of punishment, that the African hair braiders were kind of punishing
Ooh.
the young women because her parents were white. And anyway,
Oh.
I know. And my first
So
reaction
wait,
was,
let me just
yeah,
clarify. So
yeah.
your friend who took her goddaughter to the
No,
salon
my friend did not take her goddaughter. My friend's goddaughter was taken by her
by
white parents.
I got it.
Yes,
But your friend's interpretation of that experience
right,
was that the child was likely being punished because of,
right,
I understand.
right,
Okay.
right. Which
Although now your friend had in what I guess you're going to describe, a lack of understanding of that culture because she herself didn't necessarily grow up in that culture. Is that?
that's where I'm leading, and I wouldn't even
Oh,
say
okay.
that
Okay.
what she believes to be true is not true. My thing was
Mhm.
that it is one of 10 possible things that could have happened. And to have shared
Mm.
with this young person and her parents that single thing, it is
Ah.
because of that, it really, really disturbed me,
Hmm.
because not understanding that there's typically pain when you go to get your hair braided. Many of us take a painkiller if you're tender-headed. You know, if the young
Wow.
if the young girl wasn't used to having her hair manipulated by her
Hmm.
parents, right? Whether whether she was tender-headed, whether um, we're used to growing up, it hurts to get your hair braided or combed.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
you get whacked with a comb if you don't keep if you don't keep steady while somebody's trying to part your hair.
Or
Pain
you
and
gotta hold your ear down while they're pressing your
whatever,
hair so that your ear
exactly.
doesn't get burned and all of that.
Exactly,
Yeah, that's
exactly.
an
You go
experience that we've
into
all grown up with. Yeah.
Right, you go into hair experiences with an expectation of some level of discomfort, some level of
But it's well worth
discomfort.
it.
It's a part of the culture. And
Yeah.
so I felt that that young girl was robbed of that understanding of
Mm.
what in fact could have happened, and that, sorry, and that is a part of our culture, that she may now believe that these women were angry at her. It may have reinforced some feelings she had about
Oh.
disconnection.
Yeah.
Um,
And it can also inform her future
yeah,
experiences with
exactly,
that. Like, this is
exactly.
a place that I'm unwelcome.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And in the broader context,
Oh.
around
Hmm.
Black people is a place that I'm unwelcomed. And so, how does she find place for herself
Oh.
living? Do you know what I mean? And so,
Yeah, especially because she lives in a home of with white parents.
exactly,
So there might be some in feelings of disconnection or
exactly,
lack of belonging or
exactly,
othering
exactly.
that she's experienced.
Right,
Oh, wow.
right. I
Ange, this is
know.
deep.
I know. This is the stuff that I think about.
So from this one experience, and I'm sure like others that you've said, like there's something that you can do about this.
Yeah, there's something that I can do about this. Another thing that comes up all the time, because I work in theater and I'm working with Black creatives a lot, and just hearing the way that they respond to how I approach them. If they have locks, for example, and I teach them how to properly, we call it, do a wig prep, getting your hair as flat as possible so that it can be
Like you
put
did
together.
mine when to
When,
to put on the wigs that
Exactly.
you've made for me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And they say, and these are Broadway actors, and they say no one has ever taken the time to do that
Oh,
for
oh.
me. No one has, has approached me and my hair with
Hmm.
love, with respect, with, they tend to kind of draw back, and I could feel that energy and just things like
Yeah.
that, hearing that constantly. So,
But also, I remember during one of your head talks,
hmm
I think it was head talks when you interviewed the model. She says
yes,
she
yes, yes.
her experiences in the modeling community
Right,
when
right.
people approached her hair
Yes,
and got it
yes.
wrong or didn't opt, make it look as nice as it
Exactly,
could be and all of that.
exactly,
So
exactly.
yeah, you identified an area, a whole industry that needs some education in this day
Right,
and age.
right,
In this day and
right,
age.
right. And so I
Whoa.
just, I, in my daily writing, I do my morning writing, and it all kind of came to me, it converged in my heart, spirit, as I was
Uh-huh.
writing. And I was like, okay, this is it. This is it. This is what I'm going to do.
Hmm.
Um, and, and so, and I ordered all of these books. They're right over there. I don't want to
Hmm.
go grab them and have everything fall apart. But just getting really immersed in this space. And then I was working on creating a framework around it, right? Whenever you're kind of
Hmm.
developing an offer, you really should create a framework around how you're going to take it to market, right? How you're going to, what's your go to market strategy around the
Okay.
product? And as I was doing some work around developing the framework, the template that was recommended to me by my business coach was to use something that has you explore your career, your work life, and um, kind of do an inventory of what have you created, what are the things that you've done, to see what the themes are, right? And
Okay.
that's
Okay.
important work because it allows you to, anything new that you're working on, it's not going to have longevity or stamina if it's just kind of this shiny nickel thing, right? If it's not something that really is something that you enjoy, something that has been consistent in your life, something that you truly believe in
Mm-hmm.
and want to do. So I was doing
And
this
that's why
work.
you've been talking about looking at the umbrella or a theme behind all
Yes,
of this. That's where you came
yes,
up with this idea, actually.
exactly,
Yeah, that's where
exactly.
you came from. So you recently called me on the phone and you were having some angst,
I was having a headache.
some difficulty with that. You want to talk about that
Well,
a
so
little
I
bit? Because
did
I
this.
stopped you and I'm like, do we need to have
I
this
know.
discussion on a
I
podcast?
know. And I want to hear from you because one of the things that you said to me
Oh, I feel bad about
was, Ange, how do you do that? How do you sit down? How do you, how do you start to think about what you've done over a period of time? And for me, it's like, oh, that's easy. And you were like, how do you do
that.
that? I'm like, you
I
sit
like to
down.
do things and move on and not look
Right.
back.
Like when Monique reminded you of things that you've been through, and you were like, oh, yeah, I've done that. I've been through that.
Yeah.
So, but it's important, I think, to do that type of reflection um, at points in your life. And so I want to challenge you to do that. And what it may look like for you to kind of make it easier is look at 5 year chunks or 2 year chunks, you know, wherever you want to start when you were 20, from 20 to 22, or from 20 to 25, or when you were 30, from 30 to 35. What are those things that were important to you? What are those things that you did that you were successful at? What were those things that really challenged you? And take stock of those and see how you have changed, to see what you've learned, to see um, what you've taught other people. It's really powerful work.
I'm smiling right now because I'm like, wait a minute, when did this become something about me? Who told you that I felt the need to do this type of reflection? This was your
I think everyone
this
should
is
do it.
something that you felt you needed to do. I'm good.
I think everyone should do it
I'm
because
good.
it's amazing. We are so lacking ourselves, understanding ourselves, and giving ourselves credit for the things we've accomplished, the struggles we have overcome, the things that used to be so hard that are now, you don't even think about it, so easy. And
Yeah.
being able to kind of leverage those, that knowledge, that self-awareness, self-knowledge, and bringing it into the new thing that you're doing that seems so hard and I'll never. And then
Mm-hmm.
it's like, but I've done this and I did it this way and I can try it again. I can do that and it's probably going to work again for me.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
when you don't do that, Les, it's like you're starting everything brand new and it's
So are you saying like reflect on your successes?
reflect on everything. Reflect on everything because here's the thing, you don't always know that it's a success until you start to reflect on it. And then you say, oh my God,
Mm.
I didn't realize that I learned that lesson in all that pain.
Mm.
You know what I mean? You right now may be just thinking of something like, man, I just made it through. I just made it under the door. Like what is it? Indiana Jones.
Indiana, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Rocketsville. You
One of
just
those Marvel
Yeah,
action flicks
you
where they
just rolled
just
under the
make it
door.
before the doors
And
close.
in
That's the
fact,
story of my life, by the way.
I know that. This is why I'm talking about it. You're
Just
not this is not
sliding under that door.
and you realize that you made it under that door, but you brought with it so much learning that you can leverage
Mm.
again. I really am going to encourage you right here and right now to do that work. Do that work. Do
Okay.
that work.
Okay. All right. I
Um,
get that. I get that.
so I was doing some of that work again.
So where did your angst come from?
Here's where it comes in. And now we're going back to this menu with all of these options. So I'm looking at my body of work over my career, and I had a pretty long list. Amen. And then it was, well, what was the value? You did all this stuff, but what was the value of it? And you work through that, write that down. An example, I went to Mexico for 4 months um, in the mid '90s, and I I was selected for a reason, and the value that I brought was I was able to give technical support. I was working at J.P. Morgan at the time for this branch office in Mexico City. Um, I'm very personable. I formed very close relationships with the um, the employees who became friends there. And
Mm-hmm.
that's really important. The value of that, especially when you're in tech, is that um, you have to build relationships, right? You can't just be this geek, this technologist. You have to be able to
Mm.
kind of understand why, not only why things aren't working, which is where tech folks seem to spend their majority of their time. It's
Mm-hmm.
important, but it's also why do these people need this to work? Why is it
Oh,
an important
one
part
layer
of
down.
why is
What?
it an
Yeah.
important part of their business process, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
when you understand that, you start to understand, well, there may be other ways that I can solve it, right? And this way of solving it that takes 6 months, they may actually just need a report that takes 5 minutes, right? The struggle may
Okay.
be that they can't get this report out. not that this whole system is down. And you may be able to generate this report to them on the back end. No problem. They go on about their merry way instead of you being bogged down in the technology of it and not in the outcome of that technology, right? And so,
Okay.
so that's the way that I saw that I brought value. That I have those skills and I brought it to that work. So, you write all this stuff down in order to get a theme. So, the theme that emerged for me in my body of work is um, boldly inclusive. Boldly inclusive.
Mm.
Inclusivity
Okay.
is one thing, but I go at it in a very bold way because I know sometimes you just kind of go around the surface with things having to do with diversity and inclusion and equity. People tend to kind of go around the edges. They don't want to be disruptive. They don't want to be controversial. They don't whatever, or they don't understand the things that really matter to groups of people. And I get to the core. I want to address the core, like
Mhm.
this Black hair culture. It's the core of so much of the lives of Black women. And it's not something that is talked about in that context. You know what I mean? It's kind of this Black hair is this vanity thing. It's just this, this kind of outward thing. It's not often looked at in a very um, deep um, uh, core part of our being. Our hair is such a representation of so many other things.
Right. And what I like about this, the fact that you were able to look at a theme across a lot of different disciplines.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and and I'm going to say in terms of employment and corporate, because you've had an experience with your hair,
Yes, several. But
where
one really
you've
big
had
one.
to,
Yeah.
where you've had to bring litigation against discrimination based on your hair.
Yes.
There's obviously legal societal input because of the Crown Act and things like that.
Right. Right.
But then in your completely seemingly separate work in theater,
Mm-hmm.
you're noticing that as people with natural hair are getting prepped for their wigs to do
Yeah.
theater and
Yeah.
production,
Right.
that there are problems with it because of the lack of knowledge and
Right.
understanding. And
Right.
then you hear this story with your friend and her goddaughter, and you think that, hey, perhaps there was a misinterpretation of her experience, of this
Right.
child's experience
Right. Right.
in the beauty shop. Did you know that there is a Broadway show out now
Mm-hmm.
about the theme is an African hair braiding studio.
I saw it on
I think it's
IG.
called
Someone that I follow.
Zaza's African hair
Hair
braiding or
braiding.
something like
Yes.
that.
I saw the
Yeah,
playbill. Someone was holding the
yeah,
playbill. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I love that you were able to identify that this thread going through so many different areas of our
Yeah.
lives, of
Yeah.
not just our lives as
Exactly.
women of color, but everybody's
Yes.
lives. I mean,
Yes.
theater is not a black thing,
Yes.
obviously.
Yes.
Corporate structure and HR practices
Right.
and the laws and things like that. It's not
Right.
just a minority person or people
Yeah.
with kinky curly hair thing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
everywhere.
It really
I
is.
mean, it's clearly in the parents' lives who are
Mm-hmm.
white of this
Mm-hmm.
child of color.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's wow,
Yeah.
who would, yeah, yeah, it's everywhere.
That's so
So where's your struggle? You've now
okay.
identified that the need is there and you see where your niche is gonna be.
And I'm like, this is it. This is it. Okay. So I'm doing this work and something pops up. Nothing new. It, it's the role that I played with Connected Black Professionals, the employee resource group organization within
Mhm.
the company I worked for, and how I um, really, I'm gonna just give myself my flowers. How I created a structure that transformed that organization,
Mm-hmm.
um, and took it from, what's the problem? Interviewing people, what's the change you want to see? What is going on now? What do you want to see differently? All the way to being able to influence the company, having the CEO come to us to get language around communicating about the racial violence that was going on at the time. Just
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
expansive. We added nine
Wow.
new chapters in South Africa and Kenya. Just this body of work that I'd done,
Uh-huh. I
and
didn't know about that.
not only that, not only that, but it's something that was so that I saw immediately how I could package it as a service.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Meaning creating a an offer to as a blueprint for creating impactful EROs in
Yeah.
corporations.
Okay.
I can do that so I won't say effortlessly. I know exactly the way that it was done. I can develop an offer around this
My
probably.
head is bursting right now because here we
This is what
go.
this is what I'm saying.
It's getting bigger.
Okay, this is what I'm saying, Leslie. This is what I'm saying.
Somehow I'm gonna get roped into this.
This is what I'm saying. So you can see that is something that is almost already built. Obviously, there's work to
Yeah.
be done, but in terms of creating the structure, the steps, how to do that transformation from where you are now to where
Mhm.
you want to be, I've got that. Success, overwhelming success. I have people who could be, give testimonials about that.
Mhm.
And
Mhm. Wow, this is
why?
so cool.
And I just
Because
feel
I mean,
like,
this is work that you've been building on and developing like for years and years, like all your life, you know? Your body of experiences is of work and what have you. So are you now
don't ask me that
publicly
question.
informing me
Don't ask
that
me that
you're
question.
going to just start getting busier and busier and you're having less and less time for me?
It is about you, isn't it, Leslie?
Are we
It is about
still going to
you.
be podcast co-hosts?
Oh my gosh.
Going to have time
So,
to talk to me 4 times a day
So
still?
this is like a real thing because it's I have a tendency to do the things that are harder to do, that are harder. For the Black
Mm-hmm.
Hair Culture curriculum, I have this passion around it, but it's something that I have to create from scratch,
Mm-hmm.
right? I had to do
Yeah.
that with the ERO. I created, the structure around it but now I've done it and I can duplicate it. The
Right.
Black Hair
Right.
Culture curriculum is something I
Scalable.
have to create
Mm-hmm.
from scratch. And so the desire for doing it hasn't gone away at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's now, is there this other thing? How do I make time to do it? I don't want to take time away
For me.
from all the
Oh,
things,
not
all the
me.
people, Leslie. Yes. And so the headache, the menu I'm looking at, oh my gosh, these are two amazing options. Which one should I do? Which one should I do, comma, now? Um, which one is going to be,
Mm.
so
And
anyway,
this is what prompted that
this is,
distress call.
this is like, oh my gosh. I spoke to a Johnny last night and
Uh-huh.
he's such a grown up and he gave me some really good counsel around it. and had me leaning towards the blueprint. And so I have to kind of think through everything that he shared with me. And but now is the last day of the musical that I'm working on. So right after we finish
Oh,
here,
they're gonna
looking at the
close
time,
today? Today's
yeah,
the wrap?
today's closing.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So I'm in
And
my
then you're
black.
more available
Yeah,
to me.
or not. So yeah, I've been working on Beautiful, the Carole King musical,
Hmm.
and it's been here at in Raleigh with North Carolina Theater. The wig supervisor for that. It's been a lot of fun, really wonderful folks that I've been working with, and the production is just beautiful. Every time we say that, it's like
Yeah, yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Beautiful.
today's the
Hashtag
last day.
beautiful.
What's that?
It's gonna be like hashtag beautiful.
Hashtag beautiful. So once this is done,
So,
tied with a bow,
mhm,
I can really dig into what I'm going to do, how I'm going to
mhm.
do, whether there's sequencing that I have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So,
see, I'm a good organizer, but you take organization to 3.0. No, because you really go into the backstory. And what I like best about that is that being the producer of this podcast is a
mhm.
good example how you've really set up such a great framework
Thank you.
that we could even conduct classes in podcast
Yeah.
startups
Yeah.
and organization because you have
Yes.
such a good framework. Me, I'm a little bit more. I'm more working on the cuff. Okay, come on, let's just jump in and whatever. And
Right.
you've really set me down and said, "Come on, Les,
Right. Well, I
do
mean,
this
it's
work
just,
first, the mind work first, and
but
you know."
that is, Les, I think what the framework does. For me, a framework helps me to be the most creative, right? Because it helps me to always go back to, okay, why am I doing this? What am I trying to what is the feeling I'm trying to evoke for people by doing
Mm-hmm,
this work?
mm-hmm,
You have that place to come back to all the time when you want to just
mm-hmm.
go off, and going off is fine, but let that be an intentional decision, right? I'm
Right.
going
But
off and
I
I'm
think that
deviating from
our
it.
two different styles of working
What is that?
really,
I don't know what.
I didn't touch anything.
So what?
Whoa, that is something
That
else,
is
some
so
balloons, some
sweet.
celebratory stuff. But I like the way that we work together because we bring two
It's
different
beautiful.
types of skill sets,
Absolutely.
to the
Yes. That's
table.
we've been
It's
doing
like,
this.
and you know how when we're in a different arena where we're creating or when we're sewing together, whatever, and you're like, Les, don't just start cutting that pattern. Don't just start cutting. You're like, take a measure out and get a ruler. And I'm like,
Do it
I
on the
ain't doing that.
grain. Lay it out on the grain.
I can
Not
eyeball this for sure. And it's like, here I come out with a pant leg this length and the other one this length. It's like, why didn't I do what she suggested?
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. But
Measure
that is
twice, cut once. I'm of the cut twice school.
that is the story of our lives. The story of our lives.
Well, so
Yeah.
this is
So
this is this is something. I
yeah,
don't
it
want it
is
to give you
something.
headaches and angst, though. I don't
Well,
like that.
it's a part of the growing, right? Because I'm gonna get over this. Something is gonna
Hmm.
land. Both things will probably happen. Um, it's not the blueprint, the ERO blueprint work is something that I can set up to, kind of be automated, or maybe I'll
Yeah.
do some marketing around it and so on. But
Hmm.
it may be something that could kind of be turnkey, so it's not always intense work. So
Yeah. And
it's going to work out.
I really can relate to the stress and the stress of the stretching.
Yeah. Oh.
Monique and I were just talking yesterday. I'm in Florida now, so I'm with my sister.
Mhm.
Um, she's taken a business course
Mhm.
and she's telling me how intense it is,
Yeah.
and uncomfortable in
Yeah.
ways, but she
Hmm.
does appreciate the growth that she knows is going to come from it.
Right. Right.
Hmm.
Right. And that always happens. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but I'm in the swirl of it right now. And so,
And that means I'm in the swirl of it right
it
now.
does. It does
Hmm.
mean that, especially
Okay,
since you're on
I'll take the
vacation.
swirl.
On vacation, you have a little brain space for me.
Yeah.
As soon as the show is over. So starting tomorrow, well, I have a few coaching clients tomorrow. Um,
Hmm.
but starting Tuesday, you will be hearing from me. Um, but I have specific questions for you. I won't like bring you into the whole swirl. I will
Okay.
have said, okay,
Okay.
Les, this or that, this or that, this or that.
That's easy for me. That I can handle.
I know. I know.
And I'm good at really digging deep into those choices and giving you an informed opinion, not just off the
Absolutely.
cuff stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's what we'll do. So
Okay.
anyway, I gotta run. The
This is
theater
interesting.
calls.
Okay.
Thanks so
Well,
much, Les.
it's been another episode of Black Boomer Besties from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.